In the last video with my 1988 Saab 900 Turbo, we went ahead, we pulled out the motor, we also separated it from the transmission. We have that sitting over there. Today we're going to be tearing this thing apart, doing some measurements, looking at it, making sure I have all the parts I need because, well, quite frankly, I've spent a lot of money on parts for this rebuild and I'm excited to get into it. So let's get started. We won't be installing most of these parts, if any of them, today. This will be saved for a future video in this series. But the reason why we're doing this rebuild is because the car has, or the motor I should say, has a ton of blow-by, as John is pulling up in his 540i right there. It has a lot of blow-by. The compression, some said it's good, some said it's not. But it ran fine. And also had some boost issues, lots of other things, leaks of oil, things like that. So we have quite a few parts here that we're going to be installing over the next few videos. We have a couple parts left over from our DO88 kit, some spare vacuum line, front and rear main seals, thermostat, water pump, head bolts, new slave cylinder, piston ring set, gaskets, a bunch of miscellaneous gaskets in here, head gasket, engine and transmission gasket, new master cylinder, slave cylinder line. There's just so much stuff. Our first step here is we're going to be pulling off the clutch and flywheel because we need to take some stuff off up here so that way we can get it up onto the stand. Next, we're going to pop off this big plate here. There's a bunch of 12s and 14s, so that way we can pop this off and we should be able to mount it to the stand after we take this off. One of these was already loose, but we're going to take off the turbo next. So there's 4 bolts on the manifold, and then we have a bunch of lines we have to disconnect. So this one right here, and there's a return line, there's another line underneath.
All the wrongs and every reason why we've changed, and there's a storm inside my head. It's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't.
There you go. Nice thing is you have these half moons, so you can get underneath and press up on the rubber piece. Not terrible. That's our TV, so don't worry. A little bit of buildup. Nothing crazy.
For an engine that old.
That's good. Could be worse.
Definitely. I see the marks right here on the gears.
Yeah, there's also marks back here too. So see that mark and that.
Oh, so these should all be lined up.
Yep. So a little bit more.
Right one's at the top.
Yeah, right about there.
So these are like lined up.
These are lined up.
Close to pulling the head off here. We just took out the chain tensioner, did some measurements on it. It's a little bit over, about 0.52 inches. So now we're gonna pop these off, take the cams out, and then pop the valve, or sorry, the head bolts out, and then hopefully be good to rip the head off. But it's cool to see the inside of this thing and how simple it is. There's not much going on under this cover here.
For your reference too, and anyone who doesn't know, you can always tell the intake from the exhaust cam on any E-series or 4-cylinder motor, is they have the notch in the exhaust, either for a vacuum pump or the distributor.
Interesting. I went to B207, it was like GM?
What? Easy to work now. Then these just simply.
So it's kind
Usually
of
they do. Sometimes they need a little. Yep. Read. But
while he finishes pulling that off, I'm going to start with these camshaft bolts, break them all loose. John was pointing out the inner ones on all the cams, outside of them being individually numbered, the inner ones are dark and the outer ones are lighter colored. Because the dark ones are for, they allow oil to feed through, you said, right?
yeah, we can. You'll see what we mean as soon as we get them off.
Oh, the hole in there?
Yep. So newer ones have a slot going up the middle, like the B235s. But see how this is a banjo bolt for oil, and this is a solid normal bolt.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then this actually has a slot for oil to come up through.
So here's what he's talking about. You can see just normal bolt, and then the one on the inside, like he was saying, is basically a banjo bolt.
It's a hollow banjo bolt with 2 oil holes going through. It allows the oil to come up through one of the slots to feed the journal bearing for the camshaft.
That's so
So
cool.
you actually have, that goes all the way down to the oil reservoir, or oil
Huh.
passage.
Interesting. And then all these bolts are the same, so we don't need to.
Correct, yeah. We just have to, the camshaft lobe itself has to stay. But
Okay.
we can, we'll line them up. You don't need that.
Here's the head gasket that was on it. John was looking at it, so you didn't see anything too obvious. To my non-expert eye, I would say the same, but got the head off, so we're gonna clean up the block a little bit and do some more work on this thing. It's really cool to see how small this has gotten after how big it was when we put it on here just shortly ago. So one thing John pointed out is you can still see that original cross hatching in there, which is a really good sign. Cylinder 2, you could still see it, but not as clearly as you can in all these other cylinders.
Spin it back around.
But yeah, I'm gonna let him see. It's a little bit less noticeable.
They all really honestly do look good.
Very, very productive day. Huge thank you to John. Once again, I'll put his Instagram on the screen. He's got a really cool 9.5. If you guys aren't already following him, make sure to check him out. But block is completely torn down. I mean, just to think how big this engine was when we started this morning versus what it looks like now. No rods, pistons, anything. And then coming over here, just, I mean, all of the stuff that we took out. I mean, it's incredible. So in the next video, I think we'll go over more of measuring things, kind of examining the pistons closely, looking at the wear and things like that. But from what John initially saw, all the cylinders still have some cross hatching. There's a couple little spots on there, nothing major though. And all the pistons look pretty good as well. So that being said, guys, I think we're gonna end the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll have part 3 soon, doing some more technical stuff and maybe even beginning reassembly. I will be taking this to a machine shop. I've got to put in another parts order. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're still enjoying the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.